Does Toyota own a Denso? To mitigate the effects of the sale, Denso, a key member of the Toyota Group and the second-largest automotive component manufacturer in the world, would repurchase a portion of its own stock on the open market. Toyota is by no means a leader in electric vehicles. However, Denso, the leading supplier to the Japanese automaker, might be in a better position going forward for EVs. Toyota has adopted EVs more cautiously than the majority of its competitors. In Toyota's EV plan, conventional hybrids, which the firm introduced with its Prius models, remain a key component. In the June quarter, Toyota and its luxury brand Lexus sold over one-third of conventional hybrid vehicles. In just one quarter, battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids made up 2% of its total sales. Toyota's trailing EV strategy may encounter difficulties in nations like China, where EV adoption is accelerating. However, Denso's focus on hybrids has well prepared them for the EV age, as some hybrid component technology may also be used for electric vehicles. Within the Toyota group of companies, Denso is owned by Toyota Motor to the tune of 24%, with additional group firms holding a 15% share. Specifically, Denso has been among the largest manufacturers of automotive inverters. An electric motor uses alternating current, which is changed from direct current produced by a battery using an inverter. Other hybrid car parts that might be converted for use in electric vehicles include motor generators and battery monitoring systems. For the quarter that ended in June, revenue at Denso's Electrification Systems division increased 24% year-over-year, making up around 17% of the company's total revenue. Denso stands to gain from Toyota's recent move to bolster its electric vehicle selection. The carmaker plans to invest $6.8 billion through 2030 in order to reach its target of selling 3.5 million EVs. Additionally, the overall increase in EV investment will boost it. Although over half of Denso's sales come from Toyota, the company also has major automakers like Honda and Ford as clients. Another area of interest for Denso is smarter automobile components. With more sensors and screens being added to cars by manufacturers, it is expanding quickly. Its mobility electronics segment, which sells multimedia and safety equipment, saw a 36% increase in sales in the June quarter compared to the same period last year. Denso has also been cutting back on its gas-related industries. It is in negotiations to sell its business to Japanese rival Matera, which makes exhaust gas sensors and spark plugs. Last year, it sold its gasoline pump business. By 2035, Denso intends to cut its revenue from internal combustion engines by half, primarily from powertrains. About 22% of their sales came from powertrain systems in the most recent quarter. S&P Global Market Intelligence estimates that Denso is currently selling at 12.7 times projected earnings, slightly less than its three-year average of 14.6. On its journey towards a future with greater electricity, investors ought to accompany the enterprise. Toyota is experiencing a crisis of identity. The biggest car maker in the world is watched, while the sector beneath it changed. Despite challenges in the supply chain, sales of electric vehicles increased by 60% in 2022 and surpassed 10 million for the first time, according to IDA data. Large auto markets are setting the standard, with over 40% of cars sold in China, over 50% in the EU, and around 10% of cars sold in the US being electric. But one major auto market in particular has fallen well short of the market as a whole. In 2022, only 2.1% of new passenger cars sold in Japan were fully electric, while this percentage was close to 20% in China and Europe. Toyota has been a major factor in the country's hesitant adoption of completely electric, zero-emission vehicles. Over the past 10 years, the carmaker has aggressively opposed the industry's transition to electric vehicles by lobbying against laws that encourage EV use and disseminating false information. The introduction of Toyota's first all-electric car, the bZ4X, was marred by a recall, which made for a less than ideal debut. Due to this, Toyota was among the corporations with the worst records for blocking climate policies globally in 2022, with less than 1% of their sales coming from zero-emission as opposed to hybrid vehicles. Furthermore, it was discovered that Toyota has one of the least advanced supply chains in terms of lowering carbon emissions. With the appointment of a new CEO by Denso, the trend may soon alter. Originally founded as a Toyota spin-off, Denso grew to become a major player in the worldwide auto parts market and began supplying numerous automakers. On Monday, the supplier announced that Shinichi Hayashi, a senior executive and chief software officer, has been appointed as the company's new president and CEO. Does a car's value exceed the sum of its parts? Denso is in a near-dead heat with Honda Motor and Ford Motor in terms of market value. As of Thursday, Denso's market value was 5.78 trillion yen, or $52.59 billion, over 70% more than it was a year ago. Ford had a $55 billion market capitalization, whereas Honda's was in the low 6 trillion yen area. Denso, which ranks second globally in the automotive parts supply industry behind Germany's Bosch, gained prominence in the engine and air conditioning component markets, accounting for about 30% of the market share. However, its electric car parts have become a significant source of revenue. It is the leader in the number of patents for inverters which are necessary for EVs and hybrid cars. They are the backbone of an industry that is expected to generate 1 trillion yen in sales for Denso by the mid-2020s. With 4.93 trillion yen in sales for the previous fiscal year that ended in March, Denso was over 700 billion yen, or $6.37 billion, ahead of ZF of Germany, the third-ranked global supplier of auto parts. Toyota Motor, which holds a 24% stake in Denso, purchases half of the company's revenues. The remainder is distributed among other automakers, including Chrysler, Jeep, and Fiat brands owned by Stellantis and Honda. Denso's market capitalization began to overtake Honda's last autumn, and in February and March of this year, it occasionally overtook its competitor. The market capitalization of Denso is almost twice that of Magna International of Canada and Continental of Germany. Denso's share price briefly reached an all-time high of 7,970 yen on June 7. Gains in Denso's share price are being driven by anticipated profit growth. The corporation expects a record-breaking group operating profit of 413 billion yen, or 2.7 times the previous result for this fiscal year. In comparison to analyst projections, such projections are low. 452.7 billion JPY is the outlook from brokerages surveyed for the Quick Consensus poll. The gasoline pump recall that hurt profits in the previous fiscal year has diminished. Product development efficiency increases are anticipated in the interim. In addition to its size, Denso has a respectable rate of profitability. In the preceding fiscal year, the company's operating cash flow to revenue ratio was 8.9%. Denso is inferior to Bosch, Aptiv, and Magna in this regard, with their respective ratios being 12.6%, 10.7%, and 10%. Power tools are the main source of revenue for Bosch. Aptiv is the leader in autonomous car technology, and Magna is a major supplier of doors and other high-value parts. However, according to QuickFactSet, Denso's operating cash flow to revenue is higher than ZF's 5.9%, Continental's 7.2%, and South Korea's Hyundai Mobis 6.5%. One major factor influencing Denso's profits is inverters. Inverters, an essential part of fuel cells, hybrids, and electric cars, must be able to adjust electric currents. Located in Korea, central Japan, not far from Toyota's birthplace, Denso rose to prominence in the inverter market throughout the 1990s. With Ford and up-and-coming Chinese automakers among its clientele, it currently has an estimated 35% of the global market. According to Tokyo-based intellectual property research firm NGB, Denso has 3,168 inverter-related patents in its possession or application portfolio, which is approximately 4 times more than Bosch's total and more than any other company worldwide. Numerous hybrid models now have Denso inverters, and automakers are apparently keen to incorporate them into their electric vehicles as well. Denso stated in May that by fiscal 2025, it wants to boost EV component sales by 80% to 1 trillion yen from fiscal 2020 levels. That's all for today. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, express your valuable thoughts in the comments section below. Until then, bye. Also, spend some time watching other videos on the channel.